Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, Counter Spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve.
Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into our time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
Thanks to so many of you who used our classic radio theater, classicradio.stream buy me a coffee function, an episode of Gunsmoke going back to June 18th, 1955. William Conrad starring as Matt Dillon in this episode entitled The Reed Survives.
Gunsmoke. Around Dodge City and in the territory on West, there's just one way to handle the killers and the spoilers, and that's with a U.S. Marshal and the smell of gun smoke. Gunsmoke, starring William Conrad. The transcribed story of the violence that moved west with young America. And the story of a man who moved with it.
I'm that man. Matt Dillon, United States Marshal. The first man they look for and the last they want to meet. It's a chancy job, and it makes a man watchful. And a little lonely. The blazing sun and dust. Dust everywhere. And the hot, dry wind from the panhandle, baking your lungs, driving the blood to your brain, and goading you into things you might not even think of any other time. That's what the summer days are like in Dodge City. But the nights are different. After sundown, when the warm dark lies soft and gentle on the prairie, then everything changes. The nights are fine. But it's the blasting, killing heat of the day that breeds the trouble.
Well, I declare I'll be doggone. Yes, sir. It's her, all right.
Oh, who are you talking about, Chester? Who's her?
Lucy.
What?
Oh, you remember her, Mr. Dillon, that girl that old Ephraim Hunt took out of the Long Branch Saloon and married last winter? Lucy was her name, Lucy Middlecamp. Coming down the street there, see?
Oh, yeah.
First time I've seen her in Coon's age. I hear old Eve rides a pretty close herd on her.
That looks like she's coming here.
Never could figure them two, Mr. Dillon. Why she'd marry him, I mean.
And 800 acres, a mighty good range land.
How are you, Matt? Chester?
Ma'am?
How'd you sit down?
I haven't time, Matt. I can't let Ephraim know I came here.
Oh, why not? Why did you come?
Ephraim's going to kill me.
What?
It's true, he told me so. I know everybody thinks he's so good, studied to be a preacher and all. But he's not good. He's mean and cruel. I made an awful mistake when I married him, and now he won't let me go.
Oh, why does he want to kill you?
He accuses me of things. Crazy, terrible things.
How do you want to file a charge, have him locked up?
My word against his? With him always quoting the scripture and the like? And me 6 months out of a dance hall? People can't forget that.
Maybe it's only you who can't forget it.
I've been reminded often enough. He keeps telling me I'm evil, and that he tried to save me. He says when I married him, I led him into sin, and now I have to pay.
Well, what do you want me to do?
Talk to him. Warn him, something. He's crazy, Matt. I don't know what he might do.
I can't take a hand in this without more to go on.
Sooner or later, you'll have to take a hand in it. And if you wait too long, you'll have to bring him in for murder. My murder. Think about it, Marshal.
Well, if you'd have
taken that medicine I gave you, it'd have been... Oh, there's Matt. Matt! Oh, Matt!
Ah, hello, Doc.
Sit down here and have a drink, Matt.
Well, maybe later, huh? Ephraim Hunt's over there at the bar. I want to talk to him for a minute.
All you're going to get is a sermon.
Well, maybe that's what I need. Evening, Mr. Hunt.
Oh, Marshal. Will you join me?
Oh, thank you. I will.
A glass for Marshal Dillon, lad.
Yes, sir.
Evil it may be, but a vast help indeed in banishing the cares of the day.
A man like you shouldn't have any cares, Mr. Hunt.
Care lurks everywhere in this vale of tears, Marshal. Men's brief joy is dearly bought. Your good fortune, sir.
Well, luck. Well, how's the missus?
Her health is excellent, as it usually is in youth. Her state of grace may be somewhat more uncertain.
Oh?
And it's nothing that can't be dealt with. It's a man's bounden duty in this world to lend his own strength to the frail reeds of his household, to support them against the storm and strife of this temporal life. The man is a rock, sir, and the woman a reed, swayed by the wind.
Uh-huh. But, if the rock happens to break the reed, what about that, Mr. Hunt?
I doubt the rock will break the reed, Marshal. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Hunt.
How are you, Matt?
Oh, hello, Kitty.
What's old Hunt preaching about these days?
Look, Kitty. You knew Lucy when she worked here, didn't you?
Sure.
Tell me about her, huh? What's she after? What does she want?
A chance to be somebody. She's hard as nails, Matt, and she'll use anybody to get what she wants. That's why she married old Ephraim. Oh, there's something else you might not know, Matt.
Oh?
There's a young fellow working out there at Ephraim's place. Booth Ryder.
Oh, you mean that young kid who drifted in here a couple of months ago? Well, how does he figure?
Well, I don't know. But I do know Lucy. And you can take it from me, Matt. He figures.
Well, it's been fine talking to you, Marshal, but I reckon I better get back to work. Unless you got something else on your mind.
No, nothing, I guess. Just wondered how things were going, Booth.
I like it fine here.
Yeah, I understand Ephraim's a good man to work for.
I got no complaint.
Uh-huh. How do you get along with Miss Hunt?
Fine. Why?
I just wondered. Weren't you wearing a gun when you first rode into town?
Yeah, it's over in the bunkhouse. Mr. Hunt don't hold with guns. He don't pack one himself.
He never had any reason to.
You got something on your mind, Marshal?
You're young, Booth, and it's a big world. Why don't you go take a look at it, huh? Some of the big spreads up north or on out west in the territories.
Marshal, with a setup like I got here, a man would be crazy to pull out.
And he might be crazier to stay.
I like it fine here. Just fine.
All right. I can't run you out. It's your life, Booth. As long as it lasts. Well, there it was. And nothing to be done about it. Like a mountain slide starting to move slow, but about to pick up speed any second and smash anything in its way. And the heat kept getting worse all that week. The water pumps along the plaza dried up, and even the night stayed hot. Sundown didn't seem to make any difference. Maybe if it hadn't been for the heat, things might have worked out different. I don't know.
Mr. Dillon, I reckon there's something you ought to know.
Oh, what is it, Chester?
I was just down at the hardware store and Ephraim Hunt come in.
Well, what about it?
He just bought himself a gun.
June 18th, 1955, Gunsmoke on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Hey gang, just a note to let you know that we've notified all of our radio stations that our final episode of Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox will be broadcast on all of our radio stations on June 30th of 2023. It is not something of your radio station. It's not because you haven't been responsive. It's because my doctors have said I need to take time off, and I need to take a significant time off. I can no longer work 90 hours a week. It's just that simple. So to let you know, listen to the shows, enjoy the shows while you can. Go to our friend Ted at RadioMemories.com. He supplies a lot of shows. And go to our webpage at classicradio.stream and learn how you can build your own classic radio collection. But again, June 30th will end Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. More now of Gunsmoke, June 18th, 1955.
Up here on the porch. Ephraim's bought a gun booth in town this evening. He's got it there with him now and he's drinking. He's going to kill us, both of us. He told me so.
What'd you tell him?
Nothing. He's suspicious, that's all. But he's crazy, Booth. He'll do it. You got to get that gun away from him.
That might take some doing.
You can do it. You got a gun, too, and you know how to use it. He doesn't know one end from another. You've got to do it. It's the only way.
Maybe the marshal was right. Maybe I have stayed here too long.
You can't leave now, Booth. Can you?
You know I can't.
Then you got to do it. And it'll be better to face him. If you don't, he'll lay for you and shoot you in the back. And then me.
I know.
Then it's up to you. Am I worth it or not?
You're worth it.
Then go on.
What are you going to do, Mr. Dillon?
That's got me buffaloed. All the way out from town, I've been trying to figure it. I still don't know.
Yeah, but if it ain't stopped, you know what it's going to lead to.
I haven't got a thing to go on, Chester. Because a man buys a gun doesn't prove he's planning a murder.
I know.
And 10 to 1, Ephraim will order me off his property and tell me to stay off. And he's got a perfect right to do it. If I was in his shoes, I'd... Come on, Chester.
I guess we should have got here sooner, Mr. Dillon.
Yeah. Over this way, Chester. They came from the barn, not the house. Came from inside the way it sounded.
Mr. Dillon, there's somebody over there on a horse heading down into the river bottom.
Let him go. We'll never catch him in that brush, not tonight. Wait a minute, easy now. Mr. Hunt! Lucy! You're over this way. Now, here, Chester. Mr. Hunt.
Marshal.
Who did this?
No matter.
Matters to me.
Marshal, I admire you. You have implicit faith in the law. But no law covers an old man being a fool. The Reed survived.
Mr. Hunt.
What did he say there at the last, Mr. Dillon? What survives?
He meant Lucy, Chester.
Hmm.
Chester, you stay here.
Yes, sir. Where are you going, Mr. Dillon?
I have to carry this sad news to the grieving widow.
What were you doing out there so long? Matt.
Who were you expecting?
Well, I thought it was my husband. What are you doing here? What is it, Marshal? Did something happen?
You heard the shots, didn't you?
Well, I heard some shooting a while ago, but What's happened? It's Ephraim, isn't it?
Who else would it be?
I don't know.
It was Ephraim. You really outsmarted me, Miss Hunt. You planned it, you carried it out, and you'll get away with it. Clean as a whistle. And I can't touch you.
What are you talking about?
Your husband's murder.
You're out of your mind.
I guess I should have figured what you were up to, but I didn't. You were too smart for me. You killed him without touching a trigger. You worked young Booth Ryder up to that.
Are you crazy?
You got Ephraim to buy that gun. You told him Ryder was bothering you. Wouldn't let you alone. That he was dangerous. Maybe even hinted he was too old to protect his wife, huh? So he had a gun in his hand when Booth shot him.
Do you have any proof of what you're saying?
Not a bit. Not a bit. Like I said, I can't touch you. You're too smart for me.
Or else none of it's true. Have you thought of that?
Yeah, I've thought of that. Well, there's not much point in talking about it.
Marshal, I guess I'll be leaving Dodge soon.
I can't stop you.
You could if you wanted to, Matt.
Two days passed with no sign of Booth Ryder. I figured he was waiting it out somewhere around town, waiting to see which way the wind was going to blow. But I didn't know where. And I didn't have much case against him anyways. Probably a waste of time. But I still had to try. I had to bring him in and try.
It is a fact, Mr. Dillon. I ain't never seen a hot spell last as long as this. Why, it's enough to downright frazzle a person.
That's a rough one, all right.
8 o'clock in the evening and that thermometer ain't dropped 1 degree yet. Why, it keeps on like this a while, it's going to drive folks back east.
Well, here comes somebody I wish it'd drive somewhere.
Yeah. Oh, old Belk.
Yeah.
I reckon he's hunting somebody to stake him to a bottle.
And it kind of looks like we're going to be the ones on it.
Yeah, I'm afraid we are.
Mr. Dillon. Marshal, I heard a rumor going around you might be looking for this fella, Booth Ryder.
It's generally known, yeah.
Well, I just might be able to tell you where he is right now.
All right, there's your bottle. Now tell me.
I just like being an informer, but of course I feel it's my duty as a citizen to tell you.
Just tell me, Belk.
No, Marshal,
If you got anything to tell me, say it and get out.
And he's hiding in the hayloft down at the livery stable. You got no call.
You got your money, Belk. Now go on, get out.
Well, all right. Evening, gentlemen.
All right, Chester. Let's go get Booth.
put up a fight, Mr. Dillon?
I don't know, Chester. He's just a kid. I'm afraid he might.
It's a downright shame. He seemed real nice when he come here.
Well, Lucy was too much for him. She had him out in the middle with his head underwater before he even knew how to swim.
Well, here it is.
Yeah. All right, watch yourself, Chester. Stay clear.
Yes, I will.
Hey, Booth! I know where you are. Now, why don't you make it easy on yourself? Come on down and give up. You got no protection up there. I can stand here and throw bullets up into that loft as long as I have to until one of them finds you. It's your last chance, Booth!
Hold him, Marshal.
Stay back, Chester. All right, Booth, you're under arrest.
No. I ain't giving up that easy.
Don't be a fool. Now, hand over that gun. You haven't got a chance. If you try to draw, I'll kill you.
And I reckon you better start your killing.
June 18th, 1955, Gunsmoke on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. The conclusion follows these important messages from your favorite radio station. Just going to take a minute here to tell you about the big savings going on now, the clearance sale at mypillow.com. And you know, I've talked about how in my office I have a pair of my slippers, and they're really comfortable, and they're on clearance right now. The mypillow.com slippers, $25 a pair, limit 10. And I would buy 3 or 4 more pairs. Unfortunately, they're out of my size. They also have sheets, pillowcases, clothing items, all on special right now. Go to mypillow.com, click on the clearance tab at the top of the page, use my promo code Wyatt, or call 1-800-928-4715. Limited sizes remaining in the MyPillow slippers, limited colors on other items. mypillow.com, clearance tab, promo code Wyatt, 1-800-928-4715. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on your favorite radio station. Now the conclusion of Gunsmoke. Broadcast June 18th, 1955.
And I reckon you better start your killing. Well, at least he won't have to stand trial.
He's not dead, Chester. I aimed high on him. Come on, we'll get him over to Doc's.
Oh, fella, easy now, young fella. We just about got a hold of it now. Oh, it could have been a lot worse.
I wish it had been.
Oh, sure. All right, now, just brace yourself, boy. And there. Uh-huh. Yes, well, now I'll get a bandage on that, and you'll live to hang yet. Provided you don't get lockjaw. Why do you have to shoot people in stables, man? It's the worst place in the world for lockjaw.
I'll try to remember that, Doc. Well, how do you feel, Booth?
I'll make out.
You been hiding at the livery stable all the time?
No, I circled back and stayed in the barn out at the Hunt place. I figured you wouldn't be looking there.
Well, you figured right.
That's about all I figured right. She was using me, Marshal. That's what it was. She told me when I went back out there. She gave me 2 weeks' wages. Told me to drift.
Well, now you know.
She laughed at me. Called me a green kid. Yeah, I reckon maybe she laughed at him, too. She hadn't ought to laugh, Marshal. That's where she figured wrong.
Now, what do you mean?
I choked her to death.
Well, Booth, I'd probably have let you off clean. You were in the clear. He had a gun in his hand, even if he didn't know how to use it. But not now.
Yeah. Well, I guess it don't matter much now. Funny thing, too. I was heading up north when I stopped here. I hit Dodge along about sundown, so I figured to lay in for the night. Then I met Mr. Hunt in the saloon. He give me a job. I wasn't aiming to stay here, Marshal.
You weren't, huh?
I was just riding through.
Booth?
Yeah.
You ought to kept on riding.
Gunsmoke, produced and directed by Norman Macdonald, stars William Conrad as Matt Dillon, U.S. Marshal. The special music for Gunsmoke was composed and conducted by Rex Corey. Sound patterns by Tom Hanley and Bill James. Featured in the cast were Michael Ann Barrett, Sam Edwards, Ralph Moody, and Edgar Barrier. Parley Bear as Chester, Howard McNear as Doc, and Georgia Ellis as Kitty. The bond-a-month plan makes savings easy if you have a checking account. Sign your name once, and your bank does the rest. Buys you a United States savings bond every month from your account and mails it to you. Sign up for the bond-a-month plan now at your bank or where you work, or through the volunteer who calls on you. That's the bond-a-month plan for United States savings bonds.
June 18th, 1955, Gunsmoke on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Now, another brand new 5-part series of yours truly, Johnny Dollar, here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. This part 1 of The Pearling Matter was originally broadcast on June 18th, 1956.
From Hollywood, it's time now for
Johnny Dollar.
This is Morton Scottman, Mr. Dollar, at Eastern Liability and Trust.
Oh, yes, sir. Got your message. I was just about to call you back, Mr. Scottman.
Would it be possible for you to drop in and see me today?
I think so. Say in an hour.
That would be excellent.
What's it about, Mr. Scottman?
David Pearling.
Pearling. I understand he was killed in a boating accident a couple of days ago. Read something about it in the papers.
To borrow a phrase, Mr. Dollar, that report was somewhat exaggerated. Mr. Pearling is still very much alive.
Tonight and every weekday night, Bob Bailey in the transcribed adventures of the man with the action-packed expense account, America's fabulous freelance insurance investigator.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar. Expense account submitted by Special Investigator Johnny Dollar to the Eastern Liability and Trust Company, Hartford, Connecticut. The following is an accounting of expenditures during my investigation of the Pearling matter. Mr. Scottman, you're a pretty good guy, and I'll say this right at the top, since you were the one who called me in. You're reading about the Pearling matter in your newspaper right now, but they haven't got the story right. None of them will ever have it quite right. Just remember that as you go through your newspaper in this report, Mr. Scottman. You looked pretty worried when I met you that afternoon about 5 o'clock, and you led me into the top drawer offices of Eastern Liability and Trust. I tagged you as a meticulous sort of man who knew when his laundry was coming back. I wasn't a bit surprised to learn that you were vice president and chairman of the board.
Why don't you sit down there, Mr. Dollar? It's the best chair in the place.
Thanks.
Cigar? Cigarette?
No, I have these, thanks.
Lighter right there to your right.
Thanks.
Yes, Mr. Scottman?
You can run along for tonight, Evelyn. No more to do.
Thank you, sir. Good night.
Good night, Evelyn. I understand you've handled several matters for our company, Mr. Dollar.
Yes, sir. I was just going over it in my mind. I believe the last one was the San Antonio case.
Yes, Mark San Antonio. Yes. You handled that very well, Mr. Dollar. I want you to know I appreciate your reputation in the field.
Nice of you to mention it. I'm curious, Mr. Scottman. I rarely work directly with an insurance company. Usually I'm hired by the adjusting agency.
And let's say this is a little idea on my own. Only one person knows about it so far. You will be the second. Board of directors might not exactly prove what I'm about to propose, but I feel some action should be taken. I have some good whiskey in that cabinet.
No, thanks. Not now.
Yes. Well, this case involves David Perling, who, despite what the newspapers reported yesterday, is still very much alive. You say you saw the item in the papers?
Yes, something about him being killed in a boating accident in Florida, I think.
The story was erroneous. It'll be retracted.
Oh?
Fact of the matter is, Mr. Perling was already on his way back to New York, safe and sound when that report came out. The boat that he'd been fishing from did have a boiler explosion, but no one was killed. Well, these things sometimes happen, I guess.
Oh, sure they do.
However, it was printed all over the country. As you know, David Perling is highly regarded in financial circles. And that is the reason I asked you to come in and talk to me. Did you see the stock exchange figures yesterday?
Well, I don't pay too much attention to them, Mr. Scottman.
I do. We do, as an insurance company. That report of Perling's death affected several commodities listed on the New York Exchange. Companies in which he holds varying positions. Positions that would, if, say, the report of his death were engineered for that specific purpose, allow certain people to risk very little money and make a great deal of money.
Just a minute, sir. Certain people? Are you talking about Perling?
I don't know who I'm talking about, really. I'd like you to find that out. Find out, among other things, if the situation has been taken advantage of in any way.
This isn't exactly in my line, Mr. Scottman.
I think it is, Mr. Dollar. I'll come right out with it. Eastern Liability has considerable investment in some of the commodities that could be affected. We, or let's put it this way, I want to know where we stand. I want to know if we've been cheated or are about to be cheated.
I had dinner with Morton Scottman at his club. He acquainted me with the several companies involved in the matter and supplied me with stock exchange information that would be valuable in making comparisons in case the action he anticipated ever happened. An hour later, I was at the airport. Expense account item 1, $123.69. Airfare and incidentals from Hartford to Key West, Florida. I arrived at 4 o'clock in the morning, found a hotel, and had 6 hours sleep. At 11:30, I was standing in the office of a bluff, red-faced man named Peyton. He happened to be the managing editor of a newspaper.
All the way from Hartford, Connecticut, eh? Well, welcome to Key West. What can I do for you?
Tell me about this story.
A Perling story, huh?
Yeah.
You a lawyer?
No.
You here to make trouble?
Just find out something about how that story got into print, that's all.
We're retracting today. What do you want us to do? Wear sackcloth and ashes?
Well, I'm not here to file a suit. I just want some information about the story.
You can sit down if you want to.
Right, thanks.
Find Gracie Edwards, will you? Right. Well, about like the newspaper story, except for the mistake.
That was a pretty good-sized mistake, Mr. Peyton.
Berlin was here for a week to 10 days. He had an idea he'd catch some tarpon or sailfish. He chartered a boat called the Yatwacha day before yesterday. Just heading in for the landing, somehow the fuel ignited and she blew up. Everybody thought Perlin was still aboard her.
Who was aboard her?
It's the skipper. He came out of it all right. Harbor patrol boat picked him up.
Go on.
Everybody thought Perlin had been aboard as usual and was lost. The skipper wasn't in any shape to tell it differently then. After all, Perlin had been going out on her every day. We all knew that.
Where was Perlin?
He's sleeping in his room when all of this happened. Got up about 3 o'clock, checked out, took a train back to New York. Story come out in the evening edition.
Your reporter, the one who wrote it up, I'd like to see him.
It's a her.
Well, how did she get the story?
He was right there.
Right where? What do you mean?
Down at the sailfish landing when the Yatwacha come in.
That a regular beat?
Well, town this size, we don't have beats.
But your reporter was there when the boat caught fire.
Yeah.
What's her name?
Gracie Edwards.
How long has she been a reporter?
Couple of years, give or take a month. Hope you didn't come down here to run her over the coals. Oh, she's had enough of it, Dollar. From me. It's my job, not yours.
Okay. Where do you eat lunch around here?
Bluefin Bar and Grill, about a half block down this side of the street. Dipped beef and apple pie, if you like that kind of thing. Oh, hi, Gracie. This is Johnny Dollar. Gracie Edwards.
Hello, Mr. Dollar.
Hi.
Mr. Dollar's come all the way from Hartford to ask you some question about the Perlin story, Gracie. You want to talk to him?
Do I have to?
Up to you, honey.
Who are you? What do you want to know?
I'm an insurance investigator. I want to know how the story got into print without being verified.
Well, that's a straight enough answer. Who do you investigate your insurance for?
Eastern Liability and Trust Company at the moment.
Yeah, he's got business cards and everything.
Yeah, he looks like he might do that kind of work.
Well, if you're going to talk to him, find someplace else. I've got work to do.
How about some lunch, Miss Edwards?
How about that?
Oh, get out.
Expense account item 2, $2. 2 lunches for Gracie Edwards and myself at the Bluefin Bar and Grill. She was a short, stocky woman in her early 30s. She had a fresh-looking face and fiery red hair. She didn't strike me as the kind of reporter who'd make a bad mistake.
I did it the way any cub would have, only worse. I had a 3 o'clock deadline. I wanted to make it. I could have waited till the skipper came to, said Perling wasn't aboard. I could have contacted Perling's hotel, found out he was safely there. I didn't do any of that. I just phoned in my story. You know the rest. Every wire service in the country picked it up. Guess I was lucky I wasn't fired.
Mm-hmm. You want another glass of beer?
No thanks. You've been pretty nice. I'm sure you're not all insurance investigator. Notice I haven't asked you exactly what you're investigating.
Yeah, I noticed that.
You gonna tell me?
Possibly. Right now, something worries me. You were down at the landing when the boat caught fire?
Yeah.
You go down there often?
It's more or less my beat.
Oh?
What?
I didn't think a reporter'd have a beat in a town this size.
I said more or less. I like to go down there in mid-afternoon when the boats are coming back. The water's blue and fresh. Usually a good offshore breeze blowing. And if they caught any big fish, the flags are up. It's a place to go. I'm romantic.
Good. Suppose we go there. 2:30 now. Ought to see some of those boats come in. Expense account item 3, $1, 1 cab, transporting myself and Gracie Edwards, reporter, to Sailfish Landing, or as near as we could get. The last 500 yards, we had to walk on the planking between the slips. Now, tell me, where was the yacht watcher when she blew up?
Over there. About there.
Uh-huh. Where were you?
Right here. I was sitting right there.
Looking out to sea?
Uh-huh.
How long had you been here?
Oh, an hour or so.
That was day before yesterday?
Yeah.
She blew up there. You phoned in your story before 3 o'clock?
Yeah, right before 3.
Where's the yacht watcher now?
They raised her this morning, towed her over the repair docks. That's around the point.
That's kind of funny.
What's funny?
Well, I guess I didn't hear it right. You saw her get in trouble. You were right here. Then you went and phoned in your story.
That's right.
Where'd you phone it in?
What?
Last phone I saw was at the tavern before we came on the docks. High heels running over these slips. Take quite a while to get to it.
I used a phone in town.
How'd you get there?
Cab.
You had one waiting?
Look, suppose I did.
Suppose you didn't, Miss Edwards. Suppose you weren't even here. If you were, where's the sunburn? Every redhead on Earth burns up in an hour when the sun's like this, unless you're an exception.
I don't think I like this.
I don't like it much myself. But I have to find out something. I'd like to find out from you. I hope I can. If I can't, I'll have to find out from someone else. Maybe the man who owned the boat, the man who ran it, someone around here.
I'm going.
Wait a minute. I'm not just throwing words around. The boat was probably insured, and it'll probably have a claim on it, and I'll probably know the adjuster who was sent to work the claim. I'll talk to him and tell him what I'm thinking. I'll find out about this one way or another, Miss Edwards. But I think you can help me. Now, you're a good reporter. You would have waited to see if Perling was aboard. You would have checked his hotel. You would have, in spite of a 3 o'clock deadline, you would have made sure he was or wasn't aboard that boat. All right, Miss Edwards. Did somebody pay you to file that story? I just want to know that.
Somebody paid me. Yes.
Okay. I'll take you back now. We don't have to mention this again.
Yeah, okay. In case it comes up, though,
Yeah?
Mr. Perling paid me. Paid me to print the story he was dead.
Now, here's our star to tell you about tomorrow's intriguing episode of this week's story.
Tomorrow, the affairs of Wall Street follow the current trend in cheating and mayhem. Join us, won't you? Yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar, starring Bob Bailey, is transcribed in Hollywood. Written by John Dawson, it is produced and directed by Jack Johnstone. Be sure to join us tomorrow night, same time and station, for another exciting episode of Yours truly, Johnny Dollar. Roy Rowan speaking.
Which, of course, brings up the question, why? June 18th, 1956, yours truly, Johnny Dollar, here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Thank you so much for making us a part of your day. A reminder to please thank this radio station and support their advertisers. It is their kindness and courtesy that allow us to be with you each and every time we roll around here on your favorite radio station. Now, if you miss a day, you do not have to miss a single show. All of our shows are available on demand at classicradio.stream. That's classicradio.stream. You can stream our shows. You can learn about building a classic radio collection of your own. You can contact me there, find our social media links, and as always, you can buy me a copy. The nice part about that buy me a copy is for you to show your direct support of this show to help us acquire additional classic radio collections and also to maintain our distribution channels. That's at classicradio.stream, classicradio.stream. Thanks so much for making us a part of your day. Tell all your friends the greatest radio shows of all time are right here at this spot on the dial. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on your favorite radio station.